You'll often hear the evolved woman talking about how her mother has played some role in her mental illness. Suffice to say, you have no fucking idea because Kendra Lakari is Satan reincarnate in mother form. We are going to gab about Psychotic Mommies today and the Netflix documentary Unknown Number. I'm Maggie Gelson Burnett.
And I'm Mallory Hagan. This is Pretty Furious. Oh my God.
Unknown Number is such a journey. Wow.
What's crazy is that unfortunately I saw spoilers. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. And even still.
Even then. Yeah.
Even still. Man, I can't wait to talk about it.
I just want to immediately put up all of the like memes I've been seeing of like comparing Kendra Lakari to various animated characters. And we'll get into which one specifically, but there were a couple in the comment section on some TikToks that had me absolutely
Had you
rolling.
howling?
Oh yeah.
I love it.
I mean, the content was good.
Wow.
Yes, but before we get into that, let's do some housekeeping.
Yeah. Are you guys following us on all of our platforms? We're on Substack, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere else?
Literally everywhere.
Everywhere. Oh, we're on Blue Sky. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think the only place is not X.
But yeah, make sure you're following us. We would love to interact with you there and on all of our platforms. We're super excited about some of the guests we have coming up, to include the one, the only, Suzanne Lambert.
Pew, pew, pew.
I feel like we're starting to do that on every episode. So sorry in advance? Mark?
Yeah, I can't wait to chat with Suzanne. I'm very giddy about the premise of chatting with her.
What am I gonna wear?
I know. What am I gonna wear? What lip liner am I gonna use?
I should shower that day.
Same.
I didn't shower today.
Amazing.
Speaking of showers, we can't be pretty furious without being pretty first, even if we are unshowered. What products do you have for us today?
Mine relates to showering. Okay.
Does it?
Not well, ish. Relates to bodily scents. So mine is the Mega Babe, the Santal Deo. It's called a skincare deodorant with restorative ceramide and sandalwood. Ooh.
What is a skincare deodorant?
So essentially, I'm not going to lie to you.
You don't know?
I got bamboozled. I did buy this from an influencer that I follow who I like truly trust with my life. And she recommended it and she was like, I'm postpartum right now and this has been saving me. And I'm like, that's crazy because I know that like postpartum generally people always say like how
you smell terrible.
Your body odor is just like god awful.
I'm not looking forward to it. I am having hot flashes already. I'm hot right now.
You'll have to keep me updated. Honestly, you should try this and let me know if it works. But She was like, it's the only natural deodorant I've been able to use that has been productive for me postpartum. So I was like, well, I'll give it a go. I had been using my trusty Old Spice deodorant. I'm an aluminum deodorant girly.
Me too, degree all the way.
Yeah,
shower clean.
You have to. I mean, I used to be a natural deodorant person. And then, I saw this and I was like, whatever, I'll give it a go. And I really like it. And I do feel like it works. So, yeah, I really
look forward to trying it.
And it smells really nice.
We'll see if it holds up in the postpartum test for the rest of us.
Yes. Please let me know. What's your product?
Yeah, the body changes, the sweating, I even like as a person, like I could do like an hour-long workout at the gym and I'm just like barely glistening.
Yeah.
That's just how my body works. But since pregnancy, I'm like, I'm so hot.
Just constantly sweating.
Well, here's my trick for being unshowered and altogether really unprepared to record this today. Such is life. I love a red lip. And lately I've been wearing the Essence, which is just like a drugstore brand. Essence 8-Hour Matte Comfort Lip Liner. I feel personally like when I don't feel my best or look my best to throw on a red or a hot pink lip really just elevates my look and my mood. So I'll be rocking the red lip today. This is a vegan product, which I enjoy, and it's very, very inexpensive. So if you're looking for a lip liner that stays, This one requires like all the micellar water and everything to
For
get it
sure.
off. So
So you know
that's
it's
my
a good
product
one.
today. Yeah.
Essence is a great low cost drugstore brand. Like they
I
don't
like
get
their
enough credit.
mascaras too. I was going to say, I'm typically a L'Oreal gal, but I have dabbled in a few other mascaras before, and theirs is really good.
Yeah. They have a product that is a great dupe for the Benefit Gimme Brow stuff. And I think theirs is called Essence Make Me Brow. So it's like basically the same thing, but it's an excellent dupe. So yeah.
All right. Products are out of the way. What headline has made you pretty furious this week?
Okay. So this headline didn't make me necessarily like pretty furious, but it is, I guess, the topic it's covering did. So this is from the New York Times. This is actually a opinion article that has a little video to go with it, and it's absolutely remarkably done. The headline says, "You might have already fallen for Maha's conspiracy theories." And this is written by, the video was done by Alexander Stockton and Derek Barras. And I think that's how you say his name, Derek Barras. He actually does, he's a co host on the podcast Conspirituality. And he also authored the book Conspirituality. And basically, him and his podcast co host talk a lot about sort of wellness misinformation, conspiracy theories, things like that. And I just thought the video was beautifully, beautifully done. Talks a lot about sort of the funnel of Maha and how it starts with like really, really innocuous sort of like quote wellness tips. And as somebody who was very much in that funnel, and I think a lot of former pageant women honestly are, just because wellness and weight loss are so intertwined. But basically it goes from wellness to sort of these like, disbeliefs in modern medicine and sort of doubting doctors. And then that slowly takes you down into like the anti-vax pipeline, and sort of how reading labels and seed oils and all of these things contribute to a much bigger picture that is much more insidious in terms of not trusting doctors, believing that our medical system is completely flawed, and that wellness influencers are a great source of truth for health information. So I highly recommend that everybody check it out. It's phenomenal. So yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of conversation, obviously, in the last week or so because of the RFK Senate hearing regarding what's going on at Health and Human Services and the CDC. And it's just worth reiterating that the wellness industry is like 4 times as large as Big Pharma.
It's about 6.8 trillion, I think, and
unregulated.
Unregulated, yeah. And pharma is about 1.8 trillion. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's really, really sad. So because I would like to get back to work in a reasonable time, we're looking at some part-time daycares here locally. And so I went and toured one the other day, which, by the way, daycare is weird, but that's a whole different conversation and episode. But as a part of my line of questioning, I was just kind of like, what's your sick policy? How do you handle vaccinations, or do you have requirements? Like just trying to understand what's the vibe if kids are sick, right?
Yeah, totally.
And the way that this woman was doing gymnastics she was basically trying to be like, we prefer it if your kids are vaccinated. That's the way that we would like for things to be, but we respect everybody's decisions. And I was like, oh, no. You don't have to worry about me. This kid's getting stuck with everything that you could possibly be stuck with. I trust doctors.
Yeah,
I'm like sitting in this office going, no. I trust my doctor.
Yeah.
I trust science. And she was like, okay.
Slay.
Just the deep sigh of relief. It's like, that is so sad.
I mean, it goes along perfectly with, Florida's vaccine mandate that they're considering rolling back, and
or lack thereof.
And right. Oh, and basically I saw this video online that was saying like, this mandate will not impact the only demographic, the only group of people it will impact are children. And adults are already vaccinated. Like every adult in the state, most adults in the state of Florida are already vaxxed. And so it's fascinating to me how this, again, the Maha movement, MAGA, how these people are, you know, doing the mental gymnastics to try to say, like, we care about bodily autonomy, we care about our children having freedoms. And it's like, well, your kids can't have freedoms.
You're pregnant.
Yeah, right. And your kids can't have freedoms if they're dead. So like, that's, you
well,
know,
yeah, it's the amount of people saying that they're all these vaccines are for diseases and things that they've never heard of. And it's like, well, you've never heard of it.
Why do you think that is? Yeah, like, what are you talking about? You haven't heard of polio because we eradicated that shit.
But meanwhile, there are people who are very much still alive who had polio or whose family members experienced polio. Like, we're not that far removed from some of these. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway.
A whole other side piece of that conversation is like states' rights until your state does some shit that actually messes with everyone else's well-being, i.e., these kids who are in Florida aren't going to all be contained to Florida for the duration of their lives.
Right.
What do you mean?
Right. Exactly.
All right.
Anyway, what's your headline?
My headline is more of an event. And the event was the grand opening of the Rose Garden Club at the White House this past week.
Oh, fuck.
And I just don't know how you can look at what's transpiring at the White House and be proud of it, that our president is turning the White House into some, you know, Florida golf club situation along with their $200 million ballroom. But I also just want to point out that it was happening while Russia was invading Poland at the same time. And that to me is just like such an interesting picture of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the world is literally on fire and you've got influencers being like, so anyway, let me tell you about my new matching set.
It's so
and
insane.
That's what the Rose Garden opening felt like to me.
Yeah, totally. Or like how Trump initiated that flyover while the Epstein survivors were doing their press conference at the White House.
No,
it's like,
now don't make me be the one who's like, I don't think he did.
I feel like even if he didn't, I feel strongly and very comfortable blaming him for that.
Okay.
Like, I feel like at this point in my life, I feel very comfortable blaming Donald Trump for about 99% of my problems.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like,
I think we can.
He can get
after having conversations with my friends and family members in the military, I was like, all right, those things are planned well in advance, etc., etc. But yeah, we can blame him for
still Donald Trump's fault.
What's not at this point? To include kids being harassed via the phone.
Yay!
For multiple years.
By their fucking parent.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
I guess we should have said that.
We'll say that, spoilers. So if you haven't watched Unknown Number on Netflix, you may want to circle back to this episode later on after you've had a chance to watch it.
Or we'll probably cover it pretty thoroughly and then you can just save yourself an
hopefully,
hour and a half.
Yeah, hopefully. What a doozy. Wow. I got halfway through and they hadn't even necessarily dropped the bomb yet that it was Kendra Lakari, but my jaw was on the floor like halfway through this documentary. I remember pausing it and being like, I still haven't like 60 minutes left. Like, what's happening here? So, yeah.
Well, so like I said at the beginning, I was starting to see spoilers and people talking about it on TikTok. And I don't know about you, but recently with everything that's transpiring in my life and work and pregnancy and kids, and I have a really hard time sitting down and watching anything.
Oh, yeah.
So I haven't like binge watched a show or done any of that in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But this week, Kevin was traveling for work and I was like, okay, I am curious, like what's going on? And it's the perfect time to watch something that he wouldn't normally watch with me.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Although I started watching it and I was like, I feel like I should save this for you. You might be kind of into this.
It is so good. Yeah. I watched it and Ty said all his friends had watched it. So I was like, you should watch it. Yeah, good. I mean, like, it's
really sad.
It's unfortunately like very enticing, like television. I just wanted to keep watching it.
Keep watching it. So
I was like, give me more.
Okay, so for those of you who have seen it, just a little context, and if you haven't, Here's kind of where it starts. There are two teenagers who are dating. They've been dating since they were like 12 or like best friends or whatever. And then around 14, they are entering the fall like season of school, getting ready for Halloween, that time frame. And they receive in a group chat. So the couple that's dating, Lauren and Owen, they receive in a group chat a message from an anonymous number, basically telling Lauren that her boyfriend doesn't want to date her anymore and that he's not interested, etc. That's where it starts.
And boy, does it just get crazier.
But before we go any further, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you at any point in your like adolescence or teenage years experience any type of like online or cyberbullying, or even just like, even if you knew who it was?
Yeah. I mean, I would say the most vivid memory I have of like cyberbullying happening was I was in the 4th grade, and it was MSN Messenger and like Hotmail and AIM and all of those things were fairly new to kind of like the zeitgeist. But it was, at that time, it was so easy for anybody to get an account. So it was like you didn't have to have any kind of parental, anything like that. So all of my friends had, by the time we were in 4th grade, had Hotmail accounts, had MSN Messenger, had AIM, had all of this stuff. And so I had an email, and basically I got an email one day from 4 girls in my class, and it was signed by all 4 of them, but it was sent from this one girl's email address. And it basically said, we think that we hate you and we think that you should kill yourself, essentially was the
That's
phrasing.
Where they started?
Correct. And so I printed it out, and I showed my mom, and I printed it out. And the people who had signed it, by the way, were like, it was, we'll call her like Mean Girl A. She was like the main like bully, and it was signed
Regina
by
George.
Correct. It was signed by her, and then like 3 of my closest friends. So it was like all these people who I was like, this is weird. These are like truly my best friends. Like the 2 of the people whose name were on the email were in my wedding. Like, so these were like 2 of my dearest friends. And I took it into my teacher the next day, and I was like, hey, I got this fucking crazy ass email, like do something about it. And my teacher, who, granted, I don't really like hold her to, her at fault for a lot of this, because I don't think that they knew at all how to deal with like any of this at that point in time. This is like 2000 and what? I don't even know. It was too early for teachers to like even know how to mitigate that. And also I went to a very small Catholic school. So it was like our class was like 18 people. And she took it out at recess, and she got all of us together, and she made all those girls apologize to me. And my 2 friends who were like really close friends who were signed on the email were like, I don't even know what this is. Like I was not a part of this. Right. And then I think it was like 2 other girls who were mainly the ones like instigating it. But like shit like that happened pretty regularly, I would say. And I mean, it stopped after that. I don't remember anything else like ever transpiring, but there were always like some weird ass messages being sent, like, be it from boys you liked or from girls in your class or whatever, being like, you're ugly and fat and weird. And like, you're like, okay, no, what the fuck is happening here? So yeah, it was just bizarre. And I mean, honestly, the girl who sent that email is like married to a cop and ugly. So like, I don't really like, care. It's just
Stalker.
T. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, I'm just sort of like whatever, like no sweat off my brow. But yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I was in 4th grade. I was young. I was like,
that's really young. I was just sitting here thinking about the fact that we have a 5th grader who I can't fathom him like printing it off and taking it to school and being like, did you see this? I feel like that's not the course of action he would take. I hope he would tell us and we would be able to handle it, obviously. But yeah, I was very like adamant that like, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I just was like, this is bizarre. So yeah, you're so wild. Right though. You're so right, though. I think one thing that a lot of people, especially who might be just a little bit older than us, don't realize is like I've had an AOL account and screen name since I was 6 years old.
Right.
Mal Heights. That's
Yeah.
been my AOL screen name since I was little. And then, of course, with AIM, like I've spawned off and made a bunch of different accounts at various times. But I have had access to the internet, to instant messenger, chat rooms, like all of those things since I was like 6 or 7, which is diabolical.
Yeah.
But same when I was in, middle school, I had a computer and I had AIM. And as you mentioned, at that point, it really didn't take much for you to start a new screen name. So
Yeah.
you could like block someone and in 5 minutes they'd be back with a different screen name.
Yeah.
And I went through several months of some girls who were older than me not liking the fact that there was a boy in their grade who was like kind of pursuing me, but I wasn't interested in him. But they were mad that he was. I don't know. Anyway, all I remember is that at first it made me upset because I was like, God, this is so exhausting. I keep blocking you. Like, leave me alone. And then one day my mom came in my room and she stood behind me and she was like, you fucking say this. And she was like, and now you say this. And so we were sitting in my room for like a whole afternoon and she was like, and now you say, you ugly ass motherfucking bitch.
Me as a parent, fully. Like
fully me too. And I honestly don't remember like anything of what we said. I just remember walking away and being like, yeah, that's what my mom said.
Take that, bitch. Yeah.
She is way more elevated at the comebacks than any of you.
That is literally phenomenal.
But that's really the only time that I recall it being like there was like a moment where I was like, my feelings are kind of hurt and I need help navigating this. But Mandy said, not on my watch.
What I thought to be crazy about this documentary was at the beginning when they said, I think I knew I was in for a crazy ride when at the beginning it said all the text messages shown in this documentary are real. And I was like, oh, okay, shit's about to be fucking crazy. Like these messages are about to be fundamentally insane.
But they're also so cringe.
They are the creepiest, fucking weirdest ass. You know what? You know what they are? They sound like a mom wrote them. And
they sound
I mean
like a mom trying to not sound like a mom, trying to sound like a teenager. Yeah.
And I mean that with the utmost disrespect for Kendra Licari. Like they sound like a mom trying to be a teenager.
Okay, so they get the first message. Both of them, I think, just ignore it, right? Like they were like, this is weird.
And they couldn't figure out the number. So they were just like, well, whatever, fine.
And then they started getting more. But they weren't super, the way they made it seem is that they weren't super constant. So like they would get one or two, and then, maybe like a few days later, a week later, they would get another one, and then they stopped for a little while.
Right. Yeah.
So they didn't really get anyone super involved at the beginning because it was inconsistent.
Yeah. Right. But then it had been going on for like over a calendar year, and the messages started ramping up in terms of the quantity and I would also say the quality certainly changed. Like at the beginning it was sort of just like, Owen doesn't like you, like fuck off. And it's like, okay, whatever. But then they got way more, I would say, personal to Lauren and way more aggressive. I like calling out her figure, calling out, things about Owen and her in terms of like intimacy, and they just got really intense, and that ramped up around like the 16-18 month mark. So it had been going on for a really long time and then started to kind of ramp up.
But they also in the meantime they got the school involved.
They did, yeah, because they thought, well, if it's a student, then maybe there's a way we can figure out who the student is. Maybe if there's the administrators, this is a small town in Michigan, like the administrators I think thought, well, we'll certainly like we'll figure out what student it is. It's no big deal. You know, like we'll get it taken care of because they had cameras everywhere in the school. Like, you know, there were ways to sort of assess like, okay, if this student is going out into the hallway and they're on their phone and then this girl gets a text at this time, like they were trying to think of unique ways to kind of make sure that they were taking stock of which students this could possibly be. And then they had gotten tips too about a couple of other students, a couple of like, you know, mean girls or whatever that had been kind of,
But I actually thought that was what was most interesting about this is I feel like, and maybe I'm generalizing, but I feel like typically speaking in stories that involve like bullying and cyberbullying, there is some level of concern and investigation, but a lot of times it really kind of just gets swept under the rug.
yeah.
And people are like, just ignore it. Don't, you know, just don't engage, whatever. Or some of the things that they said initially, get a new phone, which,
Right.
I mean, as a parent, that would be my first thing. I would be like, okay, we're changing your phone number. But the hesitation or the pushback on doing that from both of Owen and Lauren's parents was kind of weird to me. Like, we wanted to see if we could catch them versus getting them a new phone. I'm like, the fuck? Why? You're texting my 14-year-old telling her to, you know, kill herself?
Yeah.
And the immediate response should be no more phone or a whole different number. We're wiping this thing clean. So I kind of thought that was weird at first. I mean, I guess I understand the psychology of it a little bit, like wanting to figure out who it is. But what I was saying is like the level of concern and effort that was put in by the school and the local police department, I think was actually quite admirable over the course of this case. That they like stuck with it and they weren't just like, this is ridiculous, it's not going anywhere, just ignore it.
Yeah, I thought that was impressive too. And I think also from such a, to just reiterate, a small town, you know, what has to be a small police force, a small administration at the school, I thought that was impressive too. And I think the way that you know, I think he was the superintendent and the principal, like I thought the way that they handled it both was pretty like, you know, yeah, I felt like they did their best at handling it because what do you do in that instance, and the odds that I mean, there's no way they had ever experienced that before, like, you know, what I'm sure a lot of administrators have not. So just in terms of not being able to figure out who is behind all of this and not put a face to the perpetrator. So yeah, I thought that was impressive too from such a small force.
One thing that really caught me, like once they finally revealed who did it, was the level of finger pointing that happened over the course of almost 2 years. At no point did Lauren's mom look around and go, oh my God, I'm causing, it's not just Lauren harm.
Yeah.
Like all of these kids are kind of like traumatized from this because
fully.
The traumatizing part, obviously, to Owen and Lauren was what was being said to them and about them. But to all the kids who were involved, I thought the crazy thing was like, I can't imagine every room you're in school, like a place that you're supposed to be safe, when you're at your friend's house, like the intimate details that her mom was texting were so intimate that they were like, everyone was kind of like looking around going, who is it? Like,
yeah. It's
and
like
that
a whodunit.
level, that level of like anxiety and inability to trust your surroundings or trust yourself, and not knowing if you're best friends with the person who's doing the thing, like that's a lot of anxiety and fear to place in a space with young people who are teenagers who are it's already a really hard time. So even the craziness of saying all that shit to her own child, the way that she tormented all of the other kids, I don't think that was talked about enough in the documentary. I think that they highlighted that many children were brought into this and questioned and, you know, were thought to be suspects or all of that. But the lasting impact that can have on someone's psyche to always be questioning your surroundings and your friends it was a lot.
Yeah. And the other parents too, that like she very clearly, you know, she called all of those other parents her friends. Kendra Lakari did. And, you know, especially Owen's mom being her alleged like best friend. And then it's very clear too, which this is something I think was fascinating that they did not touch on more. It's very obvious to me, at least, that Kendra had a deeply rooted obsession with Owen. And that is where this, like, I think this came from. Personally, that's my opinion. I don't know. And then kind of how that looked from the lens of her being best friends with his mom. I thought that was an angle that was just completely kind of
brushed
under the
aside.
rug. Yeah, like I was like, it's very obvious she was obsessed with him. Like that's what this was. Remember how Kendra also got a hold of the other girlfriend from the other town that Owen had. So he couldn't even have a relationship with this other girl.
No.
Like, yeah, so there was like he was seeing a girl, dating a girl from like an adjacent town. And somehow Kendra got a hold of her number and then started sending
texting
group text to them. And so then it didn't, it was like he could never even have a relationship with anybody. Like,
well, I mean, the disturbing stuff to me, it was the way she was talking in sexually explicit terms about what she was wanting to do or not do with him. God. And like stuff that is super duper uncomfortable to read, much less read about a 14-year-old boy, much less now knowing that his girlfriend's mom wrote it.
Oh God, it's disgusting. And also, I mean, lest we forget, she fully looks like Quasimodo. Like she's a jarring looking individual. Like I will just say that.
So here's one thing. She is not an attractive woman by my standards, but what I find interesting is that when it all came to light and how all that happened is one thing, but when it came to light, she pled guilty for 2 counts of felony stalking, 1 for each child. But what was never investigated was like, does she have some like pedophilia stuff?
100%.
Like, did anybody check her devices for that type of thing? Because
ding, ding, ding.
If you're texting about a minor's genitalia, then if you're doing that, then the odds are you are far deeper down some psychological rabbit hole.
Well, and I think that brings up a really interesting, like, kind of, you know, I mean, we could theorize I'm sure, for days about like what like the diagnostic, you know, criteria is behind this woman. But like, I think that's really interesting in terms of like the cyber Munchausen's kind of theory, like how people brought that into the picture. And I think that would be the thing that maybe would explain why they potentially didn't find anything else, is that she didn't necessarily even love like she probably did like love the act of sending all the texts, but it was the aftermath of like Lauren coming to her for that comfort and like her trying to like fix the problem. And like, even when like Munchausen parents, like even when they create the problem, like that's the whole kind of mind fuck of the cycle, is that like they create the problem, but then they get to fix it too. So it's like,
but it wasn't even just with Lauren. Think about it. It was with Owen and his mom. Yeah. And Lauren. Like, she was creating a problem for all these people. Yeah. And then still somehow the person that they were turning to help them solve it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, she got to be, wasn't she like, you know, she was the scorekeeper or whatever for the basketball team. And so like, she got to be the one to be like, oh, here's who was playing that night. You know, here's what jersey they were. And that pointed to the other girl that they initially thought did it. Like, so it's, you know, she was helping in all these like small ways to kind of give herself that boost of like, oh, I've done my part here in all of this. So it's fucking crazy.
Crazy. I think what was so insane to me, the most insane part of the whole documentary, was when the police figured out who it was with the help of the FBI. They have a warrant. They go to her house. They sit her down. They're like, basically, we know it's you, bitch. And she's like, yeah, okay.
She literally didn't even try. She just was like,
no. The most insane thing, though, was for her to sit down there with her child, who she's been tormenting for 2 years, tormenting with personal details, telling her to kill herself,
Yep.
like crazy shit, and then
hugs her
while the police officer is explaining that her mom's a fucking psycho. And also, for what it's worth, when you listen to the way that conversation transpired, the police officer is like, well, you know, your mom did some things she's not proud of. First of all, bitch, not proud of? What do you mean? There are so many levels to the crazy that her mom had. Anyway,
yeah,
I made a TikTok about it, but when I tell you, we would have been tussling. If my mom was trying to hug me while she told me that she had been tormenting me on purpose, telling me to kill myself, attacking all of my most vulnerable thoughts and insecurities, using everything she knew about me against me, bitch, one of us would have had a black eye.
Yeah, fully. I mean, but I think it just shows like how fucked up, understandably so, this made Lauren in the head, and like how it's almost like in that moment you're witnessing her sort of being like, wait, what the fuck is happening here? Like, hang on, like she's putting all these pieces together. It's like that, I think, is what is so upsetting, is that like her mom's hugging her and she doesn't even like she probably doesn't even fucking know what is like.
She seems very disassociated.
Right, exactly.
If you can see her, she's just like,
she's like staring at the floor.
Having an out-of-body experience or something,
which I'm sure is what that was like. Yeah, but it's like I don't know what I would have even done in that moment, just because you're probably like trying to put all these pieces together, and then like your mom's hugging you and you're like, what the fuck is even like going on? And then she's talking about the job she didn't have to her fucking husband,
been lying about like, working.
Oh my god.
Well, and then I started like, so we are of a generation, I guess, that's like trying really hard to change cycles around communication and partnership and what a marriages look like. And to hear that she was able to keep from her family that she had been let go of not one but two jobs, that she wasn't actually working, that she had no income, even though they were struggling financially. I was also sitting there going, I mean, when's the last time you guys actually all talked to each other and you cracked open the finances and took a look at like what you're spending and how? Because they revealed that she was the one who controlled the finances.
Yeah.
But like at a certain point, they mentioned on multiple occasions that their family was going through financial distress. They had to move multiple times. And I was just sitting there going, how, as a husband, can you be this clueless about what is going on in your own home to the extent that your wife hasn't actually had a real job in over a year? She's been lying to all of you. Where is she going?
Right. Exactly.
Is she working from home? Is she not working from home? How do you not know why you don't have suddenly a whole other income?
Yeah.
What?
It's insane. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, it's kind of like the old like trope of men who keep, you know, their second families like from their spouses. It's like, I don't know how the fuck anybody succeeds at that shit. I don't, especially the financial part, because finances are just, I mean, I don't know. My spouse and I talk every week about our finances. So it's like, I don't understand how that is something you can keep from your spouse in like a modern setting where you have access to bank apps and shit like that. Like, I'm just like, what's the logistics of how this is happening? Like, I feel like there were a lot of small details like that were not fully kind of tied up. And I mean, it would have probably been a, 10-hour documentary if they tried to tie up all those loose ends. But like, that was another piece that I was like, wait, what the fuck? What is happening?
Okay, so here's what I think they really did, though, and it kind of bothered me, is they gave her the airtime to basically say, I just had a lot of like really hard issues and trauma, and that's what led me to do things that I'm not super proud of, but I just got caught. You all do things you're not proud of and you don't get caught.
When she said
and
that,
I was like, first of all, this lady is a sociopath.
Fully.
She has no remorse. No remorse for her actions. She had no remorse for lying to her husband. She had no remorse for tormenting her child. And in fact, they went on to talk about how when she was in prison for the 19 months that she got or whatever, that she and Lauren like totally had a great relationship. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. And then it's like, Lauren at the end saying like, well, I'll always love my mom. Like, I can't wait to see her again. Shit like that. I'm like, this is when you know that this poor fucking girl, this poor child was so deeply traumatized by this person that they don't even fucking know like which way is up. She does not clearly understand the magnitude. Yeah.
I look forward to the whatever documentary in 10 years where she's like, oh, I figured it out.
Her book's going to be a banger. It's going to be a banger. I haven't
spoken to my mom in 10 years because what on earth?
And like, I mean, her poor dad too. I do feel bad. I like, aside from like the, finance stuff, I think sometimes too, if you are in a position where maybe you are not as educated as the other person, and certainly if you are married to somebody who is like sociopathic in that way, they can make you feel like you don't know anything, that they're smarter, that they could take care of it all. So I'm sure that he felt like, oh well, she's got a good handle on this, like fine, whatever. And maybe the divvying up of their finances I could speculate on for days, but like I do feel so bad for him, and him being like, this was his life that was just completely fucking destroyed by this person who, and now it's like, what's he going to do? Like move? Does he have the financial resources? Like,
well,
it's just sad.
Not. And oh man, the part that really got me was them talking about moving on multiple occasions and getting evicted from a house. So they moved their stuff into storage. And because she was the one handling the finances, she didn't pay the storage fee. So like the storage unit had all of their like family memories and all that kind of stuff, and it was just gone. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
But also there's a part of me that's like, how do you let things get this far?
Yeah.
The second that there was an eviction notice on my front door, I would have been like, so sorry, hand over the finances. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I thought we were paying our bills.
Right. I know.
So let this be a lesson. If you're in a marriage of any sort, make sure you both have access to your financial information, because that way you don't come home one day and they're like, anyway, you're evicted.
You got to move. Yeah. I thought it was really fascinating how Lauren said she wanted to go into criminology or like criminal justice or whatever. I think it was criminology, but I'm not really sure the difference. But yeah, I thought that was fascinating how they were like, yeah, that's what she wants to study now. I'm like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope that like, I also kind of thought it was sad that her and Owen like don't talk anymore. They're like not friends. I'm like,
I mean, I can understand that.
But
being trauma bonded is definitely not a good place to be. I certainly have experienced that in my personal and romantic relationships.
Like, but I love my trauma bonds.
But like really thinking that you are like that's a person that you're going to know forever, and you just no one can experience those things together. And the truth of the matter is, like, you really, it's just a level of bond that you really should break if you can. So
for sure. Well, suffice to say that Kendra Licari sits with a lot of other
crazy
adjacent psychotic moms. We've got Dee Dee Blanchard, Ruby Frankie, my lovely Angel she's a fictional character from Sharp Objects, Adora Crellin, an icon. Yeah, she sits among some household names, that's for sure.
Some household names, and I mean, if nothing else, this woman wanted attention. By God, she got it. This documentary has turned the internet upside down. And I think we just collectively say a little prayer for Lauren and Owen and all the kids who were drug into this insanity. And look forward to the update in a decade.
May they all get the book deals they deserve.